You want to talk about the movie of the day?
Nope.
Nope. The movie is Nope.
It is very good at doing the ticking bomb under the coffee table.
Just so many pieces come right back into play so crisply.
As Jordan was saying, there are many Chekhov's guns, and they all go off.
Yeah. There's so many things that are happening off screen that are just roping you into what's happening. Tornado-y wind, chaos,
Becomes very claustrophobic
violently
quickly.
fast. And at that point, Connor's like, oh, hell no. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, hell yes. Her foot starts to move and twitch a little bit.
And I was like, oh, she's alive.
Connor's out. Connor's like, nope, you were upset by it. And I'm sitting there as a sadist, just like, yeah, let's fuck up this audience. I'm ready. It feels visceral. This was one of those moments where I was just like, that's my girl. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Narratives of Nonsense. We are friends talking about random and recent stories, newsworthy or otherwise. It's your boy, Frozen Face. We call him Dead in this here town. I'm Jordan, also Gillidan. Boy, we have all sorts of stuff. We are talking about the film Nope. We are talking about just news from this last week. We've got some random holidays coming up this fine, fun Monday today. So, Connor, how's your week been?
It's been all right. Work chilled out a little, at least on my end, thankfully.
I'm glad.
We'll be getting a lot of new stuff in, so I'm sure that'll last all 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I'm watching it tick by. Keep going.
But yeah, it was pretty good. Been on work. I've been catching up on Critical Role season 3, or campaign 3, I should say, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's been really crazy. I'm on like episode 32, and like everything is hitting at once. Like all the character threads are just.
Oh no.
And like it's not planned to happen in each episode. Like it's just
everything just snap into line.
A lot of going on. But yeah. Other than that, it's mostly been work, and I got a new thing.
Oh.
I'm very happy.
He actually was very excited. They just got back from climbing stuff.
Got my new climbing shoes. Some nice evolves. Pretty sweet. Moderately aggressive. But yeah.
Only moderate.
Very excited for that. Because, man, it is like, the joke always is, oh, it's just the rental shoes. That's why I can't do this or whatever. But as soon as they put these on, I was like, oh.
What a night and day difference.
Jeez. That is a shoe. Fits me like a glove or sock, I guess. But yeah, so it's been a good week. Go get some sushi with the boys later, so that'll be good.
I hope I can. I probably won't be able to join because my week has been asinine.
I hope I can. Mr. Workaholic over here. Yeah,
it's been
right.
Terrible. Okay, so for work, I got hit with the, hey, do you want to pull some overtime? And I went, honestly, I was going to pull overtime anyway, but now I'm doubling down. So I I don't even know. I want to say like 50 to 60 hours, and I might be working more in preparation for this next week because in addition to all the craziness, madness.
You also just had a lot of meetings too this week.
I had so many meetings, so I couldn't do anything that I needed to do. I was always talking to people, so it was something where it was
very
like
common.
I need to get things done, but I have to talk to people about getting things done and okay, what's the next steps kind of thing. And then finally we get to Friday. I'm already in overtime, like the entirety of Friday. Whatever, if I clocked in for a minute, it's overtime kind of thing. Like I had already put in a lot of hours. I wake up a little bit later. I'm like, I'm going to take my time, get up on the right side of the bed. The cats have pulled some trash out of the can and just tore it up. It's all over the floor. It's madhouse. And I'm like
a tissue or two for the record.
Oh no, this is, they got like a plastic bag and just kind of thing, like straight out of a cartoon. I'm like, oh, okay, let me sweep this up. We'll deal with this later. I throw it back in the trash can and all of its shrapnel, shredded pieces. Following that, go upstairs, back to work, doing a little bit of stuff, but not as much as I really needed to. Come back down. They pulled it back out and they're shredding it again. And I'm like, you guys, are you kidding me? I put it back in the trash can after cleaning it up. All right, back to work. Come back down. Third time, like I'm about to get some food, bring it up so that I can eat while I work. Freaking it's all over a third time, and I'm like, I am ready to murder. There's going to be a skinned cat in 10 seconds. You better watch yourselves. Of course, this is being figurative because I really do love cats.
You want to hear a joke?
Ooh.
Want to hear a cat joke?
Sure.
How do you make a cat into a dog?
How?
You coat it in gasoline, throw a match on it, and it goes woof. Don't do that.
You got me. All right. So, after
This is a great start.
Oh, this is fantastic. So after this whole shenaniganry, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm done. This is a trash can that had a lid that broke, and I still have the lid because I wanted to like figure out how to fix it. And I'm like, all right, clock out of work. Now is the time. I jury rig a thing, and it actually worked out fairly well. I do need to loosen the washers because it was too tight. It popped off of this little system that I had.
I was rather impressed. I was like,
yeah, I was very happy with it. It was too tight. That's the key.
Yeah.
And also the washers, I try to like super glue washers to the edges of the lid to try to like reinforce it. That just didn't work at all. So, I was using Gorilla Glue instead of maybe like a super glue would be better. Just an outright like quick dry. You stick it, it's there.
Yeah.
No more. So that's TBD.
Metal, but
yeah.
Anyway.
So go to Home Depot, get this stuff, go back to the house. I also get some black spray paint because there might be a fun Halloween holiday thing happening.
Halloween. What are you talking about?
Stay tuned for the following week. But in preparation for costume stuff, I have a bunch of like random blasters and stuff for Star Wars-y, Nerf, whatever, Super Soaker, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to spray paint it black so that it looks better and not like bright orange and green and white and blue and whatever. I'm like, no, these are blasters. This is Star Wars. Like, let's make it look good. So I get black spray paint. I get one spray out of it, and it just is not working. And I'm like, on this day of days, I swear to God, I'm as red as my shirt at that point. So I take the cap off, I soak it in isopropyl alcohol in the hopes that it'll clean out the nozzle. Does nothing. Like freaking, I get like a paper clip, and I'm trying to like unclog it. Yeah, nothing is working. And so I need to at some point go back to Home Depot and just be like, hi, this did not work. Please give me I don't want to waste $6 on paint that does not work. Please give me, I just want gun to be cool. So this all happens. We're preparing for D&D. I host a Star Wars Dungeons and Dragons game on Fridays. I'm ready. I'm excited. We're going to have some like progress in our plot and whatnot.
Which we've been we've been meeting up, but it's been a little slow just because we've been missing people. I fell asleep during the session.
God, he got wrecked. We were full sail mode. You were pulling overtime like crazy, and you're at the warehouse, so it's way more physically demanding. I mean, you were outright dead. It was so funny because within the hour, we're like, Connor, you good?
Like I was there for a little bit, right? Like I said some things, like I interacted. I woke up the next morning. I'm like,
yeah, no, we like it got to a point where I'm like, I'm gonna go check on him. And I got up, I walked out of the room, just like, hey, you good? And then I just look over, headset on, sideways, just light still on. I'm like, I don't know if I should turn his light off yet, so I'm gonna hold off and just get back to what I'd be doing. Just continue from there. Yeah. So anyway, our D&D game has been all over the place. I'm like, I'm finally excited. I have this shite day, for lack of better description. I mean, goodness, it was all over the place. And then I get a message from my mother on Facebook saying,
that in and of itself is a nightmare, right?
Missed call me. And I'm like, okay. She knows that I run D&D. It's at 6:30 this message comes through. We start at 7. She knows this. Like she's very aware. This is something that Jordan has been doing for years at this point, is running D&D games on Friday.
This campaign alone is almost 8 years.
Oh yeah. It's approaching 2.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, I have a gut instinct. This is just not great. So I'm going to step away for a bit. You know what? I'm not in the mood. I'm going to call off D&D really quick. we're just already in a bad position, and I'm gonna talk to my mom and just like have a chill night. We'll just hang out, call it a day. I go to call her. It doesn't go through. She doesn't pick up. I immediately get a message from my sister Taylor, who still lives with my mom. She's younger. She's in college, saying, call me instead. So I call her, and she goes, yeah, so our great grandpa died. And I'm like, what a freaking Friday this was. We're still like in the midst of dealing with the ramifications. So
he also lives out of state.
Yeah. So my great grandpa, he was with my great grandma all the way out in Wisconsin. So, you know, a good state and a half away easily. Now, this is something where first, just one of those when it rains it pours situations. Like, I hate that I predicted that this would not be a good conversation. So another like 20, 30 minutes goes by of back and forth. Okay, so how's mom? How's dad? How are family? Taylor said, our cousins called me because they were trying to get a hold of dad. So I knew then that this wasn't going to be good, is how she was talking about it. Thankfully with my great grandpa, I mean, he's over 90. I mean, it's something that we were absolutely expecting it. It's not a
shock.
It's not, yeah, it isn't something that is unexpected and unplanned for and whatnot. People were preparing, and thankfully, just this last summer, we were able to visit him. We got to have a boat ride with him. He hadn't been on a boat for years. So, like, I'm glad that we were able to, like, get that last kind of jewel in before he went. But, yeah, it now becomes the family politics, because the Wisconsin side of the family hates each other. And we're here in Colorado like, okay, oh no. So my mom and my dad left on Saturday morning to fly out there to try to like help sort things out, arrange a funeral, so on and so forth. And right now it's something that's TBD if I'm going to be going out there with my sisters. If it's something where Brianna and Taylor both end up going, I do want to be there, but Jesus, I'm drowning in work stuff. So like it's this balance of, okay, can I don't really have PTO for it either, because I've been doing silhouette dance show performances here and there. So now I'm just in this weird thing of, okay, am I going to be working remote in Wisconsin during funeral craziness where I need to be there to support others? And it would be kind of nice to like join them on the flight if they if they end up flying out. That way I can like just from a logistics standpoint, I can like security guard, just be another set of eyes, making sure that we don't get in any trouble in and of ourselves or whatever. I have no idea if their boyfriends are going to be going. Like, it's logistics nightmare. For those that have lost family, first, condolences. I'm sure you understand. It is always a tough thing, and sometimes, like, even if you're not the closest with that family member, you are closer to the people that were close to them. And that's something where I find myself in that situation. I've known my great grandpa for, my whole life, but I am not as nearly associated with the Wisconsin side of our family. So that's something where I'm like, I'm here to be here for you guys rather than I'm here because I need to be here. That's kind of where my mentality is. So it's a lot of just back and forthing. So yeah, anyway, lots of like small, very insignificant day problems into life. All right. So we've got this baseball bat here, right? All right. Yeah, you see
Here's
it.
your kneecap.
Like here. No, even better. It's like, here, look. Like this is like solid steel, like built for people going into the MLB. And then, hey, what's that over there? Boxing glove into the face. like that's what kind of happened. Is okay. I'm ready for something bad. Here we go. Oh God. Anyway. That's been my week. Thankfully, though, it is something where, while I might be having terrible news and we're working through it, there are lots of things to be positive about. I for one, love the weather here. We're getting into 50s and 60s degrees stuff. There's a lot of articles coming out saying like, all right, prepare for snow. And I'm like, it'll just happen. We can't really prepare for it. That's how Colorado be.
Yeah.
They say that it might be as low as 40s on Thursday with rain. If there were a day where it might be, here comes the snow, I would think that would be the day, but who knows?
It's either going to be snow or some kind of slushy, sleety.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it hailed like 2 hours ago. Like, just out of the blue. It's sunshine now, like clear sky.
Oh, yeah.
just like,
pockets of it.
There you go. Hail. So that's as far as local stuff. Going bigger picture, though. Wow. All my notes on whiteboard.
Does that really be a dick?
No! I have more whiteboard markers on the way. I can replace it. Jordan's form of therapy is buying whiteboard markers in bulk on Amazon late on a Friday night.
A problem with huffing.
Yeah, there you go. It's all the huff. It has nothing to do with the oh, but this is such a crisp marker though. Like, anyway. So, news, energy things are we've had a lot of concerns. Russia, Ukraine has put a lot of dents in natural gas and oil availability worldwide. People have been feeling the ramifications of this. And it's something that we assumed we're going to stop using one fossil fuel. We're going right back to our old love, our sweet caress of coal. And that is just a not great thing for the environment, for emissions and whatnot. However, what has happened is not indicative of that. So in 2020, everybody's on lockdown, quarantines, full stop, all across the board. Massive emissions drop. Next year, 2021, big spike as everything kind of rebounds back, if not a little bit further, to catch up on what happened in 2020. So with 2021, we ended up getting like a 5% increase in emissions, relatively speaking, and it's something where there's just tons of CO2 going up. With 2022, however, so far it's looked like we've only had like a 1% increase, which is way more than we thought it would be. We thought it would be much closer to what last year's was, which was that 5%.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're pumping the numbers back up. With this year, it's still increasing, but only marginally. And more importantly, how that's happening is we have had such an insane shift to renewables that are picking up the slack that we otherwise thought was going to be held by coal. Going further with it, it's something where Germany by itself puts out an output of like 600 and some odd million tons of CO2 in the atmosphere. This is just how Germany exists for a comparison point. Worldwide, because of this massive shift to renewables, we think we've prevented about 600 million tons of CO2 going into the atmosphere.
Well, that's a big one in general. Is like coal is really the bad stuff. Like modern day cars, depending on where you live, they're usually fine, but like coal is that's the nasty stuff. Yeah. So renewables are working very, very well. Not that EVs aren't awesome.
Yeah. No, it's something where we were thinking that there would be a much bigger like cushion period. I'd also say that this is something where in Germany's case in particular, they, after the Fukushima disaster, in Japan, they were on route to deactivating nuclear towers, just all across Germany. Right now, nuclear power plants, they're being kept online at least through this winter, in the hopes of supplementing it, might even continue further down the line. It's something where France, like the majority of France, is actually powered by nuclear. So that's something where there are some countries that are handling it very differently. It's not only renewables, but it is something where we are not seeing nearly as bad as of like kickback onto coal and by proxy, just the nature of the beast, the emissions into the air, because we have some things, we have some standards to try to reduce it, but ultimately
Well, the biggest thing,
getting
they're
off
just
of
not
it.
uniformed, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the big
Oh
one with,
god,
like,
yeah.
cars in particular.
No, absolutely. So the fact that we're switching over to renewables and it's doing as good of a job as it is pretty cool.
It's also just cool in general. Like, we're getting to the point where like hydrogen fuel cells are like actually feasible. Like, I did a report in middle school and like we had them, but it just wasn't a feasible thing to really produce.
Yeah, we were talking about the what is it? There's that train that is hydrogen based that they're looking to put into California and Nevada,
which is really cool. Like, as a kid, that wasn't really feasible. And now,
yeah, we made it. So
kind of cool parts about getting older.
So yeah, even though it's something where, gas and natural gas, all that jazz is going up in price because, well, sanctions and
inflation,
availability
profits,
and inflation and the whole 9 yards.
That time.
We're not in as dangerous or as problematic a situation as we might expect.
The price of gas, like, it's been this much before.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not like it's like $8 a gallon or something. Like,
in some places, California and Nevada are kind of gross. I will say that much. Like, it makes sense that they're trying to switch to EVs.
Don't come to Colorado.
Yeah, don't come here. we have nothing
like
about you.
We'll throw tomatoes at you.
I don't know why you keep coming here. I don't care that we have a lot of sunshine and mountains and the like. It doesn't exist.
Awesome
it's all a lie. It's been perpetuated from the fake lizard folk that rule from West Virginia.
Another conspiracy.
The full conspiracy. For those that don't know, West Virginia does not exist. If you know, you know. Yeah, it's a fun one. So, carrying on from like things that we are kind of retroactively improving on bigger problems that have kind of been unaddressed to some extent. In the U.S. military, this is something that I think is especially optimistic and very great to hear given how the last few years have been.
Yeah.
In the U.S. military, when it comes to mental health, I mean, goodness, quarantine on everybody right now is having a hard time with kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Well, and just, damage that's been done, like, people that were already suffering with mental health stuff, like that definitely wasn't a boom.
You introduce isolation, or if you're in a relationship or roommates with or whatever, and there's a little bit of a abusive or non-synergistic connection with each other.
It's just going to compact on everything else.
Yeah, it doubles down.
Already be going through.
Mm-hmm. So with all of these problems that have been existing as a result of quarantine, shutdowns, pandemic, so forth, mental health has really taken its toll across the board, realistically. However, in the U.S. military, it's something where they're actually pushing quite heavily to provide support and to destigmatize mental health problems. It's something where the big stride that's really cool to see is over the last 18 months, it's something where suicide rates have dropped about 30% in most of the branches. In the Air Force, in the Marines, those are the two like long term of the 18 months. In the last 6 months in the Army, it's dropped 30% this year alone. In the Navy, it's something like 10%. I mean, it really is it just plummeting comparatively. And a big part of that is they are actively making measures to provide that care where needed and to make it socially acceptable to talk about mental health and trauma and issues that you might be experiencing. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to that. And like a buddy of mine has been in the military. It's something where he had a friend of his that ended up taking his own life. I mean, this is a very real, for me, close by proximity and close for me. I went through my own depression and suicidal thoughts years ago. So it's really cool to see them taking this seriously and really making a difference with it.
Also, if you are in Colorado, or I don't know if that's Colorado specific, but all over, but I do know there is a proposition coming through for allowing veterans to get access to psilocybin therapy.
Yeah.
So if that is something that is important, you worth looking into and kind of getting informed on.
To add to that, I don't know if we talked about it directly on this podcast or not, but there's a bunch of psilocybin trials that have been happening up in Canada, and they seem to have been doing a very good job at improving mental situations when dealing with subjects like, I believe the tests were for cancer patients, which, I mean, they have a lot to work through with that. That's something that this year on the ballot for Colorado, psilocybin is one of multiple other remedies that are that are being proposed as far as.
And as always, like, it's an option. It's not the whole kit and caboodle. No. Not everybody maybe use it or need it or whatever, but it's another tool in the toolbox, right?
Yeah. And hopefully, more importantly, if it's something that does become more widely available and, more importantly, more widely tested and studied, we can more correctly apply it as needed. And that's true for all sorts of antidepressants, or is this something where, my guy, you just need more exercise? I think that was a massive point for me.
Seriously. Like, going outside, man, having a walk, like, you got to bench 250 all the time. Like, it's good for you to do. You should do it if you can, but man, sunlight helps.
Word is that you can get, like, your vitamin D needs, because there's a lot of vitamin D deficiency that happens. You can get the vast majority of that with 15 minutes of sunshine. So that's something that I've literally gone so far as to.
In the sun a long time. Wear your sunscreen and such, people, though.
Yeah.
Skin cancer's real.
Yeah. So, it's cool to see that we're embracing these different tools, and, more importantly, the first part of solving a problem is acknowledging it exists. So, seeing that succeed as well as it has, I hope it continues to do so in the military. It's fantastic, and really, if there was a group of people that needs to be able to work through things that they've seen or experienced or whatnot, it would be military. Like them, police forces, even firefighters, like first responders, they go through the ringer. Absolutely. You know,
nurses, doctors.
Yeah, my mom's a nurse, and some of the, I mean, it in a dark humor sense of checking in on her. It's something where we ask her, like, how's your day? Did anyone die? Like, that tends to be, like, the first point of conversation. Like, it weighs a toll. It really does. So, that's on the military side. Continuing on with military and veteran affairs. There was a big policy change in the Department of Veteran Affairs where before... It's something where if you're married to a member of the military and they end up, passing away, it's something where you had to have been married for a set amount of time in order to actually gain the benefits of being a spouse for it. Well, it's one of those things where it's like, you can't just like hitch and then they go to war and then they die and now you're set for life kind of ordeal. Like they do have some kind of requirements leading up for it.
That's pretty rough.
But something that kind of threw a wrench in is for same-sex folks, where you've got, a gay, lesbian, etc. couple. For a while, it was something where they couldn't get married. With the decision of the Supreme Court to allow for marriage, it's something where you do have those instances where people are married, but not married long enough to have like an established relationship by that standard of marriage and marriage alone. What has now just happened with the policy change is you can now have a system essentially of proving that you have had a marriage type relationship in order to get the benefits of having your other having passed away in
common law situation almost.
Yeah.
Through something similar.
Yeah, exactly. It's something where it's like, you guys have been together, your state literally didn't allow you to get married, but you were practically married. This is allowing that to kind of kick in.
Joint bank account, you're both on the rent.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something where we're now opening that corridor. Is that something that's specific to same-sex couples? Is it something that is expanding? The article that I read, it didn't elaborate more than that. I wouldn't be shocked if we kept going that route. for allowing it to be, again, more like a common law kind of case where
rather than having your marriage certificate for a certain amount of time.
Be the only form of proof or identification of what your relationship is. I think that's something that's very important, especially if when it comes to marriage rights and if it's something where you're, let's say you're coming from a different country or something and end up serving for whatever reason in the U.S. after X amount of time. Because there can be those kinds of instances where marriage in one place does not equal marriage in another.
And like the other thing too is like some people are a little gun shy on marriage in general. Like just people who've been through other relationships and things like they might be with somebody, but that, you know, both these people are kind of like, you know, I don't want to get married. So it is nice they don't have to do
or
that.
Or even it might even just be as simple as
it doesn't suit.
Like, hey babe, I can't afford the ring. And I want to wait until that day, or I want to surprise you or make it a whole affair, but we are essentially married. We're just not on paper yet. Like, that's very much the similar sitch. So that's something that I think is ultimately really, really cool. And hopefully we'll see that trend continue going forward. I do know that's something that they're very adamantly pushing for is more inclusivity within military. And that's on all levels, like the don't ask, don't tell. That's bygone era now. So continuing from that into what I would say is more kind of generosity type of things. Out in Salt Lake City, they are building a village of tiny homes. And the reason for this, this is a project that's been in development for a number of years, that they just went through, I forget if it was unanimously voted for, but it is now, like, trigger is pulled, it's happening. They are allotting 8 acres of area for this village and building 430 homes as a form of recovery housing for the homeless. And in addition to at least a form of kind of temporary housing, there's also going to be different facilities and places where people can access resources as kind of this intermediary until they end up getting onto their feet and finding a more permanent housing solution. And that's something that I think is absolutely a step in the right direction. We've seen a lot of positive benefits for folks that, like, get that little bit of help and push before they can, like, get properly set as they need to. I don't look at it in the same way as like a continuous welfare thing. I think of this more as a, hey, you had a bad stroke of luck or circumstance or what have you. Let's get you on course. Let's fix what your situation is.
It's also just a big thing because, like, a lot of homeless people, they struggle with a lot of mental health just because of the treatment. And one of the nice things about having a house is it really helps you with that as part of it.
It gives you stability.
Well, and being a human being, shelter, having your place, that's like a very linked thing with your kind of subconscious animal mind. So it keeps them in a good spot so they can continue to strive. Without having a bunch of trauma put on them.
So I'm curious to see how that goes over.
And it's great because they're tiny homes and the turnover on that is really quick. So they can really bang those out.
And in part, it is something where this, in a grander scope, is meant to help with the kind of the ongoing problem of housing affordability and the like.
Displacement, like there's a lot of issues with that. You know, even where we're at now.
And then adding to it with all of the supply chain craziness as far as constructing new stuff and the availability of housing. I mean, this is something that is absolutely going to be
you're maybe getting it.
Not just utilized. I think it's going to be a massive positive on the community for Salt Lake City. So hopefully we can see more things like it.
Jobs, more experience in tiny homes. I personally, like, I've been looking at tiny homes for a long time, like, because I'm not much of a big space guy. So all good.
So following that, the next key point of generosity, it's our girl. It's Mackenzie Scott back at it again. One of the cooler, like, it really is just the female Tony Stark of philanthropy almost. This last year, I mean, she's now at something like 12 billion donated.
She builds a super suit now.
That'd be really funny.
I know she'll probably donate that money, but
But the dream, she ends up getting like the what is it, the rescue armor that Pepper has in Iron Man, in Endgame or whatever. Anyway, so Mackenzie Scott back in the news again. This round of donations is for the Girl Scouts. She set aside $84.5 million to the Girl Scouts. It's the largest in the entire history of the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts are celebrating 110 years this year. They were founded in all the way back in 1912. So it's a pretty remarkable stamp on the ongoing list of things that Mackenzie Scott has been donating to. And it also is doubling down on things for when it comes to women's assistance, help, activities, recreation, so on and so forth. So
it's a lot of relevant life skills like in Scouts in general. Like, I wasn't too huge on some sides of it, but like there's a lot of practical things that are just nice to learn through both of those organizations.
Yeah. So in that sense, this with the Girl Scouts, it lines up with earlier this year in like March, I want to say she dropped like 200+ million for Planned Parenthood just to provide more resources for, again, feminine reproduction, and that is absolutely a hot topic these days. So
yeah,
like it's really cool to see her continuing that trend, and again, she's killing it. So 2 thumbs way up. And then finally on,
do you think she gets free cookies now?
God, I would
must have been a killer gift bag.
I don't even think it's a like term in the agreement. I think it's just one of those things
that's
where like you ask, you receive cookie.
It's on me, like
just infinite Thin Mints.
What's her name again? I can never.
Mackenzie Scott.
Mackenzie Scott.
Yeah.
You want a box of Girl Scout cookies? You ever in Colorado? Look me up. I got you. anyone you want.
Get the Samoas. Get the Thin Mint. Get the what is it? The lemon ones. Those ones are good
lemon
too.
Drop.
I think it's lemon drop.
They're like the powdered sugar.
Yeah. Oh, those are good. God, now I want cookies. So following from that, as far as kind of pushing for women inclusivity, there's a really cool lady out named Jessica Wade. She is a physicist. She is a physicist.
Oh, is it anything dangerous?
Okay, it's just your phone. I might have been your soda for a second. I was a little terrified. Not gonna lie. No. So Jessica Wade, physicist. She is currently getting the British Empire Medal at Buckingham Palace. What has she done? She has gone through and written 1,600 articles about women in the broad field of STEM. It's something where she has been pushing a very long time for kind of bringing women back into that conversation. It's something where she thinks that the issue isn't getting women into STEM. It's about keeping them in STEM, acknowledging them for their accomplishments, their achievements, so on and so forth. Things that up to this point, many of these scientists were either ignored or forgotten about, those kinds of things. So she is like put it on her own shoulders. The woman is 33 years old. She started when she was in her 20s, like in college, just writing Wikipedia articles about these women that are, I mean, it's kind of inspirational in and of her own right. At this point, now there's multiple Wikipedia editors that have written just about Jessica Wade. If that says something, and then she herself has gone on to write all of these other articles just to kind of throw acknowledgement. So it's really cool to see her bringing that into the conversation and kind of bringing out a piece of history that we might have otherwise just completely forgotten about.
There's tons of examples of that. The lady who helped develop Velcro, the lady who did all the programming for the lunar lander.
Yeah, and that's something that
the human genome, like all kinds of these, and like
the list goes on.
For it, like
and it's something that thankfully we're continuing to see that trend, and I think Jessica is one footnote, one awesome step in that direction. So, yay! And then transitioning from that into the holidays. So, one of the more interesting ones is it is Diwali Day, which is it's also known as Deepawali, if I pronounced it right. It's out in India. It's kind of a festival of lights holiday. There's a lot of different reasons for the celebration between the different folks, groups, religions out there. So the those that follow Hinduism, they have their own reasons for this holiday. Kind of, it's almost a season-ish thing. Like it's you celebrate it today, but it keeps going on.
You've got
very like Mardi Gras-esque as another example where it's like, it is Tuesday, but is it really? It's a whole ordeal. So there's like the Sikhs have their own reasons, but ultimately
lights are cool.
Lights, sparklers,
Festivals
fireworks.
Are awesome.
Yeah. Very, very fun. Going a little bit further south from India, down in Australia, it is Kangaroo Awareness Day. So first, roos are cool. Second, it is a day to kind of further put them into the spotlight for preservation, protection, so on and so forth.
Also, we want to make sure
they
will mess you up.
Yeah, they will. And we want to make sure that we don't mess them up by accidentally just ruining their home or whatever. So we want to keep roos around. Yes, they will mess you up.
We already lost the emu war. I don't know. The roo war. I'm saying.
The roo war. The sequel to the
There's
emu war.
There's only so long that they're gonna, think the allies. Roos and emus? There's no more Australia.
My brain just goes like, oh boy, the roo leader, Kangaroo Jack, with his red hoodie. That's an old reference. That is ancient history for us.
Thank you. Make me remember that.
and Jackie Legs. Oh my gosh. I just came to say hello.
They did an animated movie of that.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Kangaroo Jack. Carrying on from that, it is United Nations Day. We are celebrating 75 years of the United Nations. It has been around since 1945, and gee holly goody, it is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the UN impacts and has helped and progressed.
It's like a marginally big deal. The UN,
like an entire planetary government.
But, a bigger deal. We've been to the UN building in New York.
We have.
We've graced it with our presence.
Just saying, what was that, 7th grade?
that was 7th grade.
Yeah, because 6th grade was in California. Was it Catalina Island? We were on a boat.
What are you guys doing?
People were puking.
Rocking it.
All us Coloradan landlubbers just cannot get our sea
on the boat singing friggin' High School Musical 2 soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, and there's a hole in the bottom of the sea.
That's what's really making people puke.
So many people hated me by the end of that trip, but I had a great time. Following that, it is, speaking of great times that really were not felt by all, it is Senior UTI Awareness Day.
Hey, important.
Oh, man, it is important. It is much harder to diagnose in elderly folks, so if it's something where things aren't working quite as you might intend, just be safe. Just double check.
Grandma and Grandpa are in the retirement home. Condom, something.
Reproductive awareness and the like. And then finally, some good old food stuff. It is Bologna
Bologna Day.
Good old bologna. The best.
Love me some Bologna.
Right. It's fantastic for sandwiches. 10 out of 10.
I don't know if I just do Bologna sandwiches straight, but it's it's nice. It's in there.
Oh, yeah. No, bologna with like some ham, maybe some mayo and lettuce or some mustard. Oh,
good stuff.
I also am not so far removed from bologna that I'll just right out the bag kind of thing.
I'm kind of good on that.
I'm down.
It's a little too robust. It's like eating raw hot dogs. For me. Like, I've done it.
I put it on the same level as like ham. I have to be in the mood. But I absolutely would.
I don't like overly mushy stuff. Like, I can't eat a lot of
like Spam.
Yeah. Like, I like Spam. I'll eat Spam. But I like having crunch in there.
I want something with texture.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude, I think one of the best sandwich hacks that exists is just putting chips on it.
Oh, totally.
That's all you need. Like, it just doesn't even matter what it is. I think Lay's are probably the most uniform
Get
thing.
Crazy. Cheetos, screw it.
You can. Yeah.
That's one where I hit
it
with
doesn't
Jordan
matter what
levels.
sandwich you throw Lay's.
I'm just the chips on it, that crunch.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And then finally, it is Jamaican Jerk Day, which, not to be mistaken for a mean person, Jamaican Jerk is about the seasoning.
Yeah, it's like a spice style or something.
Yeah.
But jerk chicken, ooh.
Very, very good time barbecue-esque.
I love
creme de la creme.
Like,
Oh, yeah. In a similar note, like, it's something where, while not specifically Jamaican jerk, I do have, like, a thing of Cajun seasoning downstairs. Just, good.
You get around the Gulf down there and, like,
that's some good stuff. They know what they're doing. Well, following that, you want to talk about the movie of the day?
Nope.
The movie is Nope. We're talking about Nope. Just came out earlier this year. Jordan Peele, back at it again with horror, suspense, thriller, so forths. I really like it.
I think it's horror. I'm gonna die on this hill. It's not a bad thing.
I think it's a subgenre of horror.
No.
I put suspense, like, adjacent. Like, if there's a gradient between, like, action, suspense, horror, I think that's where it sits, is in that suspense-ish category. You know what I mean? Like, it's on its way. Oh, there he goes. Nope's out. So, Nope. Very well put together. In terms of cinematography, I mean, goodness, the framing of these shots, I feel like, gives a really good sense of scale and
such beautiful shots of the landscape, like where they were shooting, like
yeah, and whatever the opposite of claustrophobia is, you get a sense of that, where you just have there's danger out there somewhere in that field or on that hillside or in the sky or what have you. Like, it's there, it's waiting for you. So I'm going to stay here. That massively well shot, really cool landscapes, and going from that to the visuals. I think the visuals as a whole are pretty stellar. There's only like one thing that I personally would complain about is the monkey that shows up. There's a chimp at some point in this movie where I'm like, I've seen better chimps, and I think that ruins it. We also are filming it in a way that I think is harder to put the chimp into the scene. Assuming they shot it with like there's like a tablecloth kind of thing that's obscuring
the thing, though,
vision.
I think part of that too is it helps because they were trying to, like, that's why I think a lot of that's implied, is because they didn't want to directly show.
That's fair. That's fair. And frankly, it's better because of how much implications of there being monkey.
It's very clever.
Like,
way to
out
get
of the corner of your eye. Yeah.
Because I like the CGI, there's a lot of CGI in this movie, like, overall. So
yeah,
like, that stuff's a pretty penny.
Yeah. And adding to it, the scene, that's spoilers. We'll talk later. So visuals.
I do have complaints about the monkey scene.
Yeah. The visuals are great. Sound, I think, is absolutely stellar. I actually think it, like, doubles down on what the scenes are showing visually. The sound just elevates it to a new level.
What's there is very grounded and, like, realistic. So, like, a lot of it is not something that's too, like, fantastical.
Things are used sparingly.
Yeah. So, like, the sound is really important in that to get across the situations in a grander way.
Yeah. It puts a lot of context for the implied horror of what's happening in the moment to moment. And it gives a very good sense of, like, unease at times. I don't know how to phrase that better. Again, suspense. It's good. It's really good.
It's very good at doing the ticking bomb under the coffee table.
Yeah. And then adding to that is...
There is not literally a ticking bomb under any of the coffee tables, just so you know.
I don't know if there...
Or is...
No, there definitely has to be a coffee table. We see, like, scenes of them in the house.
Or is there?
So music, adding to that sound. A lot of the music is very diegetic in this movie, and it's better for it. And then the moments where it's not diegetic, you're not sure if it actually is still diegetic, because again, they blur this line with the music and the sound as they do the visuals and the cinematography. Like, it's something where there's so many things that are happening off screen that are just roping you into what's happening, and vice versa. I can't describe it. It really is very, very well executed. The acting is also fantastic. For me personally, I think that we watched it in a living room setting, with each other, just like talking during certain parts of the movie. So I feel like one of my complaints is that it's hard to understand some of the dialogue, but that might also be our setup and our situation. Acting wise, I think they knocked it out of the park. They're very engaging, very emotional moments, that they crush. Out. End of story. And then finally, like, the last thing before it gets into spoiler territory is it's very cool to see how this movie on a whole it has a lot of aspects of love letter to older media. And one of the ways that they do is they kind of have it broken up into chapters, which is very like Shining-esque, Westerns-esque, like going as far back as to very old-timey, black and whites,
which is the
movies.
Reoccurring theme in the old black and whites. A lot of references to that.
Yeah. There's a lot of film history that is on display in some places directly, if not implied or alluded to in the making of this film.
They are very clever in their subversions of a lot of these things, though, so it doesn't feel like you're just retreading old ground, which is very fun.
You almost get a sense of this movie has a nostalgia for the way things had been done in the past in a filmmaking sense, and then doubles down on that to make this new kind of futuristic kind of setting story. I like it a lot. So, plot. Spoiler territory. Get out.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear it from us.
Nope.
Because we're about to go inside.
Yeah, we're gonna take this key, unlock it, and peel it open. That's really bad. All right.
I was gonna say, you really slipped on that banana peel.
There we go. Yeah, if that segue didn't chase you off, I'm sure the puns have. So, plot-wise, we start with a Bible verse that is ripped straight out of God's judgment of Nineveh, where he says something akin to, "I will cover you in filth, you will be absolutely hideous, downtrodden, and you will be a spectacle." And it does a good job of really setting the tone of this movie of, we as humans don't always know what we're getting ourselves into, in a sense. That said, we start off with, we have OJ, who is kind of...
Junior.
Yeah, I would say... OJ. Yeah, I would say that he is the main character. If not the main character, he splits it with his sister Emerald, who is Keke Palmer, just killing it, having a good time.
They're both protagonists.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of this from OJ's perspective. He is kind of going for... he's working on a farm, and his... ranch. Yeah. I'm already on top of that. Yeah. He's working on this ranch with his dad, who ends up looking up at the sky at some point and falls off of his horse shortly after. We hear, again, sound is fantastic. We hear this like phew, 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 whizzing sound.
People screaming. And then it's just kind of a...
Kinda, yeah. And what's really great with the sound is the subject of this movie is there is a UFO, now renamed UAP, which is unidentified aerial phenomenon. This is actually like a reference to In 2020, the government like declassified some stuff about UFOs and they reworded it. And so that's become the new lingo going forward is UAP.
Yeah.
They actually reference that in the movie because later there's this character Angel who's like, dude, like ancient aliens and stuff. Have you seen it? Yo. So, the UAP, this alien UFO situation, a lot of the sound design for it is a mix of like bird noises, screaming, neighing, all in a very similar frequency, that our ears have a really hard time distinguishing like what it means. It's really good. So we hear this like screaming sound thing coming from the breeze. Things start flying out of the sky.
Metal things.
Yeah.
Like a coin.
Yeah, so there's a coin
which Jordan now has a nickel.
I really mid shot I said if I had a nickel every time this happened, and then it cuts over and it is in fact a nickel that fell out of the sky. I went, whoa, I have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but that's really saying something. Oh my god, it was incredible.
But unfortunately, the great Keith David's character
is dead. On arrival. We had him for one like really nice line delivery, and there goes our boy. There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. That old song. So yeah, the dad has died, killed by nickel falling out of sky, which already, like, if you've seen Mythbusters, raises a little bit of a red flag. Like, whoa, hold on. It can't just fall out of the sky and kill someone.
I believe the myth with that though was it would go through your head.
Yeah, it was. It would be a penny that goes through your head.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that, and then there's also the key literally embedding itself into the hind leg of a horse.
I don't want to say is a key reference, as in to
like Keegan,
like Keegan, but
it could be. I mean,
it is that just funny
that he is known for his work.
Yeah, like
Keegan Michael Key.
That was the.
Yeah. So the dad is dead. And the son is taking over the business with his sister, and it's not going well.
He's not a great talker.
No.
He's not very good at projecting himself. His sister's a little into other
much more salesman stuff, and it's something where she's very much kind of split priorities between maintaining dad's thing and doing my own thing. They're at a commercial shoot. They are... or just before that, we get a really cool intro sequence where you're kind of going through this like black corridor of like almost fabrics and sheets kind of thing. It's very ominous, spooky, kind of, big square going towards you until it fades into the footage of the very first film footage that exists, the man riding a horse. And then we get to this commercial where similarly we're seeing OJ with a horse. And the sister, like, he's having a hard time saying,
he starts to try to do his spiel.
Yeah, he's trying to, he's not very loud. He's trying to give instructions like, hey, don't look the horse in the eyes. And, hey,
no one's there for it.
We might need a break here, and no one's listening at all. She comes in, like, eats the scene for a good 10 seconds and then goes to, like, network on the other side. Things start moving really fast. Mirrors held up to the horse, spooks it. It kicks some, like a bucket of sand, I think is what it was.
Makeup?
Sure. It ends up kicking something. It's a little obscured because there's a couple of actors standing there and they're offset. They're wheeling in a CGI green screen horse.
Does literally say at one point, don't look him in the eyes.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That was kind of that trigger.
Yeah. So, what ends up happening is they're kind of tough on their luck, as it were, and they end up going to this little like tourist attraction, cowboy
western town.
Yeah, called Jupiter's Claim. Yeah. It was originally called something like Gold Rush or whatever. They renamed it in recent years. They're trying to revitalize the little cowboy western town.
And the owner is this guy, Ricky.
Yeah.
That was
Jim.
I am great with names. Anyway, this nice man, Ricky. Now
played by Stephen Watt. Yeah. He's the one in charge. He apparently is like a child star that's still in the entertainment industry.
He's on some sitcoms.
Yeah, and he's looking to buy one of the horses, Lucky, from OJ and Emerald. And what ends up happening is they have like a little bit of back and forth talking about the horse. OJ's like, for any reason, is there a way that I'd be able to buy the horse back? And he kind of like dodges the question a little bit. And Emerald gets distracted looking at the legacy that is Ricky's kind of career in film and whatnot. You see this poster for a movie he's done. You see a bunch of memorabilia from his time on some sitcom where he alludes to there being this tragedy. Oh, this is also in the intro. We have some implied violence. We hear monkey screeching like off camera. You can't really see what's going on. There's somebody that's like
kind of sticking out from behind a couch.
Yep, exactly. There's blood kind of splattered in places.
There's also, it's interesting because it's like this really gruesome thing, but the main thing that got me is there's this shoe like precariously placed on its heel that's just standing there freely.
Yeah.
Which really
perfectly balanced with like a little speck of blood on the corner of the toe. And it's something where we start talking with Ricky. He elaborates on some of his stuff, and then people talk about like, oh my gosh, and what happened with that sitcom. And he goes into this traumatic experience, but he kind of dodges his direct experience and talks about an SNL skit where they kind of made fun of what happened for this event. And you just get this sudden flash of him like hiding under a table with a little bit of blood on his face, just like terrified as a young kid. Cuts right back, and they continue with their dealings and so forth.
All the memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah. So, chapter Ghost. One of the horses named Ghost comes into play. They are at the ranch, and at some point, they end up spooking Ghost. Ghost takes off.
Well, it's Otis has him out to probably turn him out or something, and Emerald has loud music playing.
Yeah,
we think that's what happens. It's kind of implied that's what's spooking it.
The music spooks Ghost off. Ghost takes off into the distance. Gone with the wind.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, wind and sound, and suddenly like a
weird tornado
in the distance. A little dust bowl thing happens coming out like from a cloud,
and you just really see like subtly through the cloud cover something like dark moving around. Like there's a circle of darkness, but it's up above the clouds.
Yeah,
this is a really cool fact. I'm very curious how they actually did that editing wise.
Yeah, and adding to the terror of what the hell just whooped out, it moves very fast. The clouds do not give any kind of reaction to it.
Yeah, they're not being like pushed away.
Yeah, normally if it's something where you have something moving that fast, that low, you get like a sonic boom, the clouds just part out of the way. Nothing, just whoop, and it's gone. The end. So OJ does not like whatever it is, tells his sister, he's like, sis, listen, I don't know what I saw. It ain't no ship. It ain't no drone. It ain't no plane. Like, it's something that is actively out there. Yeah. So, following that, we get, I believe this is where we get the Clover chapter title in. They end up... Emerald ends up stealing a horse statue from Jupiter's Claim with like a little flag of ribbons, the little triangle flags hanging off of it, and
they just stick it out in the field.
Yeah, and they're convinced that there's a UFO thing. This could be their like claim to fame. They go to Fry's.
She's immediately like, "Let's get this on. Let's get
it on film. This is our Oprah moment. This is the impossible shot. We're gonna be famous." They end up talking to the cash register installer guy, like, all right, yeah, all of these camera parts and pieces, are you gonna buy the install? And they're like, no. And he's like, you're not gonna be able to install it without me, haha. So you should. So he helps with the install. He ends up apparently being in this breakup, and Emerald's like, all right, how long is this gonna be? I'm gonna go run to the store or something. So he gets the cameras online, and every time that they, go to like test the camera, OJ's like, point it up. Keep going up. Keep going up. How far up can it look? And Angel kind of like picks up on it a little bit and goes, oh, bro, like ancient aliens and whatnot. That's like the thing.
It's the thing.
I know what you're looking for. Hell yeah, I'm all in. Let's go. And
which I think this is kind of, because like one thing with Otis, like his dad dies in front of him and he's rather
shut off.
Yeah, like he keeps it together, but I kind of think that's Angel's thing to kind of get away from his troubles.
Angel's trauma is let me hyperfixate almost.
Well, it's to get away from it, right? Like instead of confronting his issue or trying to get a new relationship, he's all crazed out about aliens.
Yeah.
Later it showed he smoked pot and stuff. So
yeah, in OJ's case, I think it's there's almost like a little bit more of a sense of closure with his pursuit of finding out about the alien stuff that's going on, because it's like, bro, I don't believe that it was no prop plane that happen to drop stuff.
I think with OJ doing that, I agree, but like I think OJ uses his work to get away from it.
I'm saying there's a little bit of a parallel between the two, which is kind of nice. So while Angel gets very uppity, outspoken, excited, OJ's like crunch mode almost.
How do we deal with this?
Yeah, we cut to night, and there is. There's OJ going through the ranch. We get to see all of the different horse stables with their respective names. One of them named Firefly. Does not matter. I just saw it and went, oh, I wonder if that's going to be important. It wasn't. I was a little sad. I thought it might have been.
Guess that plot point got
something
canceled.
Oh, I actually didn't like Firefly as much as other people do. That's not to say it's terrible. I feel like most of the love of it is wasted potential rather than what it was.
Don't get it.
It is.
I love the main actor. He's great.
Yes. It is a cult classic for a reason, is my thoughts. Anyway, that's a tangent. One of the horses was named Firefly, and I laughed and pointed. I did the Leo DiCaprio thing. While he's in the stable, something starts moving in the corner. This little black shadowy figure. And it just kind of like slinks up a little bit. And Connor's like, oh, hell no. And then it starts like walking after. And then another one, its head just kind of
does the signs,
slinks out of a door.
The signs moment.
And at that point, Connor's like, oh, hell no. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, hell yes. And then finally he turns a corner. There's one hanging upside down and he just socks it.
Smacks it.
Falls to the ground. It's just a bunch of Ricky's kids that are like, dude, you can't mess with us and take our horse statue that you stole.
There's a funny line. Ricky comes over to ask about the horse statue.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously been stolen. And Emerald's line back is, well, how'd you get yours? In reference to their horses.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. It's kind of good.
Oh, man. So, following...
Kids being kids.
Yeah, the kids are being kids. It's Ricky's kids. They've got, like, alien hats on, monkey suits, and then they go from there. Following that, again, there's... Ooh, oh, no, the weird stuff.
The theremin starts playing.
Yeah, there you go.
It would if this was a different movie.
Yeah, yeah, if it was in like the anywhere between like the 30s to the 80s, I think a theremin would start playing just So we have I think it's Clover ends up getting out, and sounds in the distance and whatnot, wind blowing ominously and the like.
Electronics not working in certain areas.
Yeah, things start shutting down. We're getting a little bit of EMP stuff happening, which we saw earlier, but didn't acknowledge it. Anyway, EMP, things are starting to turn off. They're not working anymore. We have the cameras pointed towards the sky. One of them has a praying mantis on the lens. Annoyingly enough. And I was like, oh my gosh. oh no, what is this? Like, oh, like the mantis is in on it. They're like connected to the aliens or something. I was like, oh shit, they don't want to be found. Kind of like full Jordan conspiracy. Oh, let's go. The camera doesn't pick up all that good of footage of what's going on from a distance.
Praying mantis's eye.
Yeah. And then one of them is a little bit closer to what's going on. Shut off dead. Does not work at the moment. And Angel is like, whoa, this is like a DEF CON crazy situation. There's no way that camera should have been turning off.
He's stalking that too.
Oh yeah,
like,
he definitely is. No, he's being real creeper weird about it. Emerald very rightfully is like, I need you to get the like just choose him out for it. But he ends up kind of getting recruited into their little circle. He has a coworker there's a coworker that's like, dude, freaking weirdo, what do you do? Just like munching on snacks the whole time while he's
talking shit.
Yeah, while he's just at like at the store, just spying on them this whole way through. So they kind of have some vague-ish
we do get
images.
To see it.
Yes.
The characters and us. But the camera's new.
Yeah. And it is a cloud that has sucked up a horse and the horse statue, and there's a little ribbon hanging out of the cloud now because it's like stuck in its throat or whatever you want to say it. Yeah, it's caught in the old windpipe, the UFO tractor beam tunnel, etc., so on and so forth. So, following that, we go back to Gordy. Chapter Gordy. We're back in 1998? 96? Yeah, I think you're right, 96. And we get what is...
kind of the context.
It is like one of the best scenes of this movie, in my opinion. Like, this scene by itself could exist in a vacuum.
You could have almost a whole movie about, like, Ricky's, like, experience after this and how that all went down, even.
Yeah, I think with this scene, it's something where it provides a lot of good context for the movie, but in and of itself, I think it captures kind of the danger, horror, worry of working with animals in film situations and the like.
Controlling that which is,
uncontrollable. Yeah.
Not even because it's like Marcus pointed out something that was interesting. One of our roommates, and that that chimp Gordy was in puberty. Was probably in puberty, which is a very poor time to be trying to work with chimps. Apparently, they're very aggressive. Yeah, and we've all been through puberty, so it's probably true.
So we see from like the filming perspective of these old cameras, the filming of this sitcom. It's
Gordy's birthday.
It's the whole family. The whole family's all together, and they got balloons, and then one of the girls accidentally pops a balloon, and it does not go over well. The chimp starts freaking out, and you get this long pan situation where you're like going through a hallway of the behind the scenes, looking in through a building that isn't fully constructed because it's a set. You get to the audience, you can see the film canisters where they're white with little black eyes, kind of like the alien costume masks that Ricky's kids were wearing, and is on like his merch later in life.
The audience is empty.
Yeah, you start going through, and there is Monkey just wailing, blood splatters everywhere.
Foley on this is palpable.
Oh
just
my
wet,
god,
slapping thuds.
Oh, it's violent. It is grotesque, and very little is shown.
Yeah, it's very implied.
Very implied, and one of the things that really upset you was we see the monkey like wail on the body of a girl behind the couch, and he like gets up, is just moving around and about again. In comes like the dad figure of the sitcom, trying to like sit, bad Gordy. Gets chased off into another section of the set, wailed on.
What happens with him?
We see the girl, her foot starts to move and twitch a little bit.
I was like, oh, she's alive.
Connor's out. Connor's like, nope. No
I didn't
way.
walk out of the room.
Oh yeah.
It was like,
You were upset by it. I'm sitting there as a sadist, just like, yeah, let's fuck up this audience. I'm ready. Let's like this
I was grossed out.
And I was taking great joy in it. I was just like, wow. It just makes it so much worse that they survive it.
It looked like she was dead in the first scene to me.
Yeah. So he comes back, wails on her again. You get like
off the top rope.
Actually, sorry. The dad comes in a few seconds after the second round of Gordy just going to sicko mode, because you can actually you see him hunched over and you hear as he's just chewing her face or something. And then the dad comes in, he chases off. And in the midst of all of this, you get Ricky hiding under a table. Little bit of a tablecloth kind of obscuring some of his vision. He's tucked away and he just looks over, and the girl's shoe perfectly balanced right in the middle. There's a line earlier in the film where OJ kind of thinking on his dad's death and how he died seemingly at random with a coin out of nowhere said, is there a word for a bad miracle? And that's kind of, I think, brought into this scene where there's just a shoe perfectly balanced on the back of its heel, toe up in the air, one speck of blood. It's fascinating to look at and horrifying in how it got there kind of thing. Then the chimp comes back into the room. It has calmed down a little bit by this point. Nothing is threatening it. It looks over in Gordy looks over in Ricky's general direction. Ricky just watches, and it approaches. They get pretty much face to face, and it goes to do a fist bump. And Ricky is looking back at this monkey through this tablecloth at its eyes, and goes to meet it in the fist bump. You hear a gunshot. Blood splatter, chimp dead. We got back to our boy Ricky kind of reminiscing on this old trauma. Yeah. And he's got a show to do, so he gets up. He's got his dapper red uniform on. On the back of it, you can actually see there's a UFO with its tractor beam kind of in the negative space of the little star flower pattern.
Well, it's got rhinestones kind of coming down.
Yeah. Oh, it's really cool, and a little bit foreshadowy of him going out into this large stadium. He's got, a decent enough-ish crowd.
Eerie setup.
Yeah. It's just
big boxed thing that's been put has a cloth
with a big
over
green.
it. Yeah.
He does his whole song and dance.
You find out the girl actually lived even after all of that.
My coworker, after all these years, she's got her face partially obscured because eventually a little bit of wind kicks up, and you can see underneath this veil where her face. I mean, it's very.
You kind of get her mouth and nose, but you see a lot more of the inside of her mouth than you want to.
This almost doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
We actually made a comment God, trying to living with that as a disfigurement, it must be difficult in some ways to maintain, either because your gums would dry out or you need to apply medicine to make sure it doesn't get infected or something. I mean, it looks brutal. So
it's like not having eyelids, but on your mouth.
Yeah. So after this, song and dance, setting up, you're ready to see a spectacle. He takes off the cloth, and it's Lucky in a little glass box. And he's like, all right, yeah. And Lucky's like,
You also kind of see the cloud coming back.
The cloud.
And he notices it as well. A
little bit in the distance. And then whoop, out comes a little flag from the bottom of the cloud. And he's like, all right, everybody, we're going to get ready for a good show today. All right, Lucky, yeah, sometimes it's a live show, tamed animals, they don't always do what you want. Come on, yeah. And then everyone starts looking up. The cloud has the wind is picked up, the cloud has moved over, it's starting to provide a little bit of shade on what's happening. And then you get just this awesome montage, really, of all of these people getting fucked. It is, yeah, you have the tornado-y wind chaos, and you see that intro shot that we had where there's like this big fabric, like square area, and just all of these tiny specks of people flailing into the interior of this
really
thing.
Becomes very claustrophobic
Violently,
quickly.
fast. Yeah.
You see some weird stuff in there too. Like, not really sure what it is.
Things start to like compress a little bit, and it's hard to tell how much like pressure is being applied, and like, is there acid or something? Who knows? Who cares? It feels visceral. And it's something where one of the people, the like 40 plus that get sucked up into this alien monstrosity, one of them like sees, it's either the statue of the horse or a horse skeleton. I couldn't tell.
I think it is the horse statue, I'm gonna assume.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they see
something in there. It's weird.
Yeah, and they're all of them screaming bloody murder, panicked, and again with the sound mixing, it kind of gets lost amongst like this weird neighing wind corridor thing.
Lucky is good though.
Lucky's good. So we cut over to OJ, who comes to Jupiter's claim. He wants to like check in on Lucky, see what's going on. Lucky in the glass box, not fucking moving a muscle. He's like, I know how this ends. I saw a ghost, presumably. Like,
OJ also interestingly has a habit of looking down a lot and not making eye contact.
Yeah. So
he does earlier in the commercial.
So he goes out to this stadium.
He kind of notices that.
Yeah. So OJ goes out into the stadium. He sees in the middle of this little like half ring coliseum, there is just this big glass box with Lucky and big old cloud above. Nobody there. Nobody's like things
icy
spilled
everywhere.
Icy. Sponsored for this movie, probably. Presumably. It had to have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, so freaking OJ's like, oh hell no. And he ends up getting knocked out, like going away from it, trying to leave. When he comes to, it's night, and he ends up making his way back to the
farmstead.
Oh, I think
homestead.
Sorry, I think after the gory stuff is when we get Lucky's chapter title, because this little bit is Lucky specific. He goes back to the house on the ranch, and on his way back, the cloud has followed a little bit back to its little territorial area section of this valley.
Angel has also headed back over to the house as well.
Yep.
Van.
So Angel and Emerald, the both of them are in the house proper. Things start to turn off. Things are going out left, right, and center. It's a not good time, as eventually there's like rain coming down, splattering thuds, think, very similarly to the objects at the very beginning of the movie that end up killing OJ and Emerald's dad. And we start to realize that this giant UFO is just starting to spew items and pouring blood
all over the house.
Very shining elevator scene.
Well, and it very much goes back to that Bible verse at the beginning of like, I will make a spectacle of you.
Yeah, I will throw filth at you. Very War of the Worlds, like the original like incarnation of War of the Worlds, and then more recently the Steven Spielberg one with, I think it's Tom Cruise is in it. I don't remember. Anyway, it's like 2005 War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Like just blood and gut, alien, like a whole new level of, oh dear God. And it's really great because after all of this like chaos happens, in comes OJ in his vehicle playing Sunglasses at Night.
That's Angel's.
Or sorry. Angel has Sunglasses at Night. It as it comes into play. And then the cloud goes over. Here comes OJ in his trailer with Lucky in the back. And he just kind of like stops the car turns off, very much EMP effect, and he's like, uh-oh. And he opens the door, he looks up, and right above him is the center eye of this UFO-shaped thing hovering over him with the little ribbon, and he just shuts the door. Nope. One of many. In crashes in the horse statue with the flags. It felt personal. It felt very personal.
Didn't even like it.
Oh yeah. So
we go back to sleep for a little bit.
Yeah. At that point, I'm with OJ. Like, you're just gonna stay in that car, and you know what? He comes to the next morning. The music starts playing again. So where are my sunglasses at? Whatever. We continue along our journey. At this point, they're like, okay, let's go get food. They go
to a diner. Like
yeah.
24/7 diner.
Yeah. They're sitting in silence. It's palpable. OJ like goes, I wonder if it's something where you just don't look at it in the eye. Like if it's territorial or something like that, you know, if it felt threatened. And Angel's like, dude, I don't want to talk about this. Read the room. Like, seriously, right now, we're going to talk about this right now. I just want to eat my food and move on with my day. Like, they are not having it. But time goes along. They hatch a plan. They get back in touch with, we didn't mention this. There's a cameraman that is notorious.
A commercial.
Yeah, he's notorious for having done like impossible shots. He goes
specifically as a nature documentarian on animal stuff.
Yeah, he's worked with some dangerous creatures. We actually see him like going through a montage of different animal eyes, and like seeing like crabs and birds and so on and so forth eating one another. Like, he's in the thick of it kind of person, fully committed to the bit, will do whatever to get the shot kind of guy. Little bit on the like pretentious side. He's very colorful with his words. Very much a tone setter. Hi, this is the NPC to set the vibe in a D&D game kind of guy. So they get back in touch with him, and he's like, yo, I saw the news. 40 people missing in your town. All right, I'm in. Here's what's up. We're gonna do this.
Shows up.
He's got an old crank film IMAX camera ready to rock and roll. And they do this whole plan. Emerald, I think it's both Emerald and Angel end up getting a whole bunch of the car batteries. I believe it's from all of the people that have died in Jupiter's Claim.
And a bunch of the wacky
inflatable tube men. Yeah, which we saw earlier in the film. They gear these up and
they spread them out
all over this valley.
Like a big grid almost.
Yeah. It's like a better done version of, I don't know if you watched the Battleship movie. So in Battleship, they have buoys that tell them where things roughly are for like hit, miss. It's kind of like a better version of that, where you get an idea of what's happening.
I'm just going to say this now. I will never do that movie. And if you ask me, I will cut your fingers off.
Okay, but it's way better than I would have ever thought it was.
I'm close to cutting all your fingers off right now.
But Connor, I would honestly pick Battleship
over a Transformers movie. I will literally get up and leave this room. Does that say something?
I
also won't do the Transformers movies. The Steven Spielberg ones.
We watched Lamageddon.
Yeah. That was funny. I enjoyed my time.
Battleship is a fun time.
No.
Some of the Transformers, they slog.
No.
There's not as much visual puke. All right, tangent. So they set up this grid of wacky inflatable.
It has Rihanna, dude. That's not a movie. This is just a big fucking advertisement.
She gets the F-bomb. It's really great. We have inflatable tube men scattered throughout this field as this like warning system of like, loosely speaking, where is this UFO alien thing? Because sometimes it looks like a cloud. Sometimes it looks like a flying saucer.
It can kind of hide in a cloud.
Exactly.
It comes around with it.
Yeah. The cloud does not move a lot of the time, and it's really great because Film Guy shows up and he's like, yeah, there's that cloud, it's still there. How about that? So what ends up happening is through and through they come up with this system of like trying to communicate. We're gonna like bait it out a little bit so that we can catch it on film and then like go on about our day. In rolls some dude from TMZ with the most Daft Punky looking silver motorcycle bike helmet.
Yeah.
With just a cutout
black spot.
Yeah. I guess it makes it look like an eye. And
well, I think he might have a camera in there. It's maybe the implication. I don't know.
Or it's just so he can better see his camera, because he's got like a weird camera rig that he also has, but it's completely
Either way,
electronic.
There's a black circle. His whole helmet's chrome except for a black circle on his visor.
Yeah. Honestly, the helmet looked kind of cool.
He's also on an electric motorcycle.
Yep. Anyway, he shows up and everyone's like, dude, what the hell are you doing here? He's like, there are 40 people missing. I'm with TMZ. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And Emerald's just like, oh, this idiot. Just get out of here. Go on. This is private property. You can't be here. And he's like, I'll be here just like 5 seconds. Starts driving through, completely fucks up their plan in some ways, because he's gonna bait out the problem a little uncontrollably, and he sure does it. And OJ's like,
shuts off and he goes flipping over there.
Yeah. He fucking eats it, goes like 20 feet away from his bike, and like an idiot immediately tries to sit up after having experienced that like whole crash.
Yeah, fall really hard or get up like in a bike crash.
Give yourself a minute.
Don't
or
move.
20.
Don't.
Like
just don't. Wait until the paramedics come so they can stabilize your neck.
Yeah.
Because you could honestly paralyze yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, he may have. I mean, it's possible. Yeah. He just literally went, okay, but about the camera shot, and just is now paralyzed because he's an idiot.
It doesn't take much.
Oh, my Lord. So,
general knowledge.
OJ comes by. He's on horseback with Lucky, whose eyes are covered. And OJ has on the back of his hoodie, he's got 2 little green dots to look like eyes.
I think they're reflectors.
Yeah.
Road stuff.
Yeah, so
in his Scorpion King 2001 crew hoodie.
Yeah, that his dad worked on, and then they replaced it with camels. Yeah. So,
he's actually wearing it in some of the
in the other scenes. Yeah. And the promo stuff. Yeah,
that was the one.
Yeah. So, OJ is like, dude, I gotta get you out of here. And the dude's like, what about the camera? Things start going out. There go the tube men. All right, there's UFOs here. And OJ's like, all right, fuck it, I'm gone. Bye.
Takes off.
Yeah. Biker guy's like, wait, what about the camera? Tornado. Fucking gone. Here for 2 minutes. Honestly, he was about as well timed as Keith David. In and out.
Yeah. He is a fun representation of certain.
Yeah. So he's gone. OJ's on the run. Lots of like chaos ensues of them trying to capture footage of the beast that is this alien UFO. They've determined it is much more of an animal than it is a ship.
It is the ship.
Yeah. And eventually in this back and forth, we get, some of the visuals are just gorgeous. You get to see the ship kind of take on a little bit of like a sand dollar-esque
it like tries to suck up Angel and the cameraman and stuff, and I don't know what causes it to happen, but it like unfurls.
Yeah, so oh goodness. So it chases OJ a little bit, and then they get their shot and they're like, yeah, we got it, and then they're in their like respective like safe place for a second. We think the danger's past, and then we have our film guy. His name's Antlers Holst, which yeah. So he's like, oh, we're approaching the golden hour. This will be the impossible shot. A little bit before all of this, he's like taking pills, so it's implied he's sick, probably dying or something like that. So yeah, I found out after the fact if it says something. So he's like, all right, switch out the film canisters, gets his own little private hand crank one, starts climbing up the mountain, and he's like, hell yeah, baby, I'm gonna get this impossible shot. He gets it. He's got like a smile on his face, and then he gets sucked up and he's like, and it gets killed. Like, my guy, you were gonna die. So I guess he does it on his own terms. That's probably one of the most like undercooked parts for me is this guy's relationship to the movie as a whole. But moving on, Angel then is also trying to like get this footage. Almost ends up getting dead. He like gets thrown by kind of like the
the tornado. He kind of slips
the
out.
outer edges of the tornado as Guy.
Tarp.
Yeah, and then thrown into a barbed wire fence. And that was something where I was like, ooh.
This really upset Jordan.
Yeah, this one upset me because I'm like, oh, that'll fuck that just sucks. and there was like a moment where we're like, maybe he isn't fucked up, and I looked at his arm and he's just got this massive gash. I'm like, oh, he is wrapped in barbed wire.
Well, I was worried again because once again somebody falls from like 15 feet in the air and they're moving.
And he sits up. He's like, You
can live the barbed wire. It sucks. Stop moving. Your neck might be broken.
Right. And honestly, right now now's a good time to play dead, frankly. But he does have a good idea, and that is, you know what? I'm gonna be a pain in the ass to eat, and he wraps himself more into the barbed wire.
He's still stuck in the tarp, so it's kind of like cushioning it.
It helps a little, but you can definitely hear him go like as he keeps going, and it tried and true, good old Bessie, who they have named Jean Jacket after. We have this flashback of them training.
Emerald was supposed to train at some point.
Yeah, and then they just didn't, and then Scorpion King happens where they were supposed to use Jean Jacket, and that also... Anyway, so they named this alien thing Jean Jacket, and Jean Jacket, the big old alien saucer, comes over, starts trying to suck him up, and like rips out half of the barbed wire fence that's connected to it, and it didn't... Nope. Jean Jacket did not like it. It just lets him drop again. Dude's messed up at this point, sits up like an idiot. Oh my gosh. And then we get one of the more like interesting, cooler, but also it feels only a little disconnected from the rest of this movie. The saucer unfurls.
It was weird. Old Testament angel, Final Fantasy looking boss thing.
Just giant wind sail things.
There's like a green squarey bit in the middle that
implied to be
pulses?
Its mouth eye-ish. Kinda. Yeah, it all looks very ribbon fabric-y, which is, I mean, I think design-wise, it looks and it was executed incredibly. A little bit weird that we don't get too many hints of its nature to this point. Like,
because at first I was like, did it metamorphosize? That was what I was thinking. I thought it was more of like a butterfly thing.
Yeah, and
but as you go on, we see,
Yeah, this is more like this is a predator prey situation. It feels threatened, and so it gets into its big hey fuck off stance, basically. Yeah. So. Then it's in this fuck off stance, and it's green eye-ish thing. It bounces. It like morphs into itself
it can,
to look in both ways.
It and
to look at it. It looks at Emerald on the dude's motor. She's now in the field.
Also gets
got the motorcycle,
up, along with the angel, and gets thrown over by the TMZ guy.
Yeah. So it looks at Emerald. And it looks at OJ, and it does this little back and forth a little bit.
She's trying to start the EV, the electric motorcycle. But the
EMP problem. So, and eventually, through a callback to some of the flashbacks that they have, OJ does a little I'm watching you thing to Emerald. Emerald acknowledges, looks back or whatever. And gets far enough away as OJ rides off into the distance, very cowboy style, with giant freaking biblical angel ass fabric sail boy floating overhead. And Emerald starts up the bike, heads off, goes over to Jupiter's Claim, and
they kind of have a tug of war thing,
it's like
Otis
the dark...
OJ is trying to get it to go this way, but Emerald's like, oh no, it goes this way.
Yeah, it's almost like a dark version of you put a puppy between two people. Okay, come to dad, come to mom, come to dad, come to mom.
But thankfully...
but it's out to kill you.
Otis is able to get the saucer away from Emerald long enough that she can start her bike up.
Yep.
And then that's when...
She cruises off. That
attracts its attention.
Yep. So she goes to Jupiter's Claim. While she's there, she starts putting things into motion. She's thinking quick on her feet.
There was an inflatable cowboy big thing.
Yeah.
That she starts ripping the stakes out of.
So it'll start...
Attach it to the ground.
So it'll start drifting away somewhere.
The well.
Yep. So there's a well in this town that she ends up photobombing way earlier on.
There's like a camera in the bottom.
Yeah, it's like a hand crank, coin operated thing.
And ain't it very convenient that this thing can't eat coins? There's all these coins around this well.
Oh wow. So
that was smooth.
Yeah.
I like that.
So finally she's sitting there cranking and ready to, she takes a couple of photos of, here's the balloon going up, balloon is there, and then she and this is something where I was sitting there like, my girl, wind it most of the way and then just like hold off, and she does, and I was like, that's my girl. There are multiple times where I like got up and I might have missed parts of it in dialogue, or I was waiting for a thing to happen and then or put together the pieces of their plan that weren't explained directly, and I was just like, yeah. This was one of those moments where I was just like, that's my girl. Yeah, you hold it until you're ready for the money shot. And the big angel-ass thing comes by, and it does like a standoff almost. It almost has like its Western back and forth with this giant with this giant cowboy balloon.
It's like,
yeah. It wraps itself around. It kind of starts to transform into a UFO
right
again.
When that's happening, she goes.
Yep. She gets the shot of it like, and then you get to see a far distant shot. It's back in a UFO form and
tries to squeeze up the balloon like it did to all the people.
Yep.
Just
kaboosh.
You kind of see it tether off. Like,
yep.
Looks like fabric now.
And we absolutely confirm it's dead because power comes back online, which I found out in the after fact. And at this point, Emerald drove off on the bike. She's not really sure how OJ is or what's going on. And she looks off into the other side of town. There's a sign that says over yonder. There's a big old cloud of fog and a very Western-esque stance. There's OJ on horseback, but you just standing there.
And you can see him so clearly because of his orange hoodie. So cuts out really, but it's that cowboy.
And then right as we wrap up, you have all of the whatever press, paparazzi, etc. start to show up and swarm around. And she inadvertently, this is something that's really cool. Again, there's a lot of things that are very tight about this movie. She has created essentially a movie of the balloon going up and getting with that camera well.
Which is how the film...
Great. There's another great. There's another great.
Of the
grandpa
jockey riding the horse. It was just a bunch of pictures put together and then rapidly. So she had that same...
with the alien. Yeah. So all around, it's really well constructed. It is really well executed. There's it really is something where just so many pieces come right back into play so crisply. I love it.
As Jordan was saying, there are many Chekhov's guns, and they all go off.
Yeah, every single one of them. And it's one of those things where it could have been so easily ignored by a lesser film. And almost everything matters. And not even necessarily overtly. 10 out of 10. I love it.
Even with her being able to ride a motorcycle, like she had a whole spiel at the beginning. She's like, I can sing, I can dance, I do a little acting, motorcycles.
Yep.
Which I think is a fun, contrast between her and Otis.
Yeah.
Like, Otis is all about the horses, and she's like, I'm out here riding motorcycles and stuff.
Yeah. So, ultimately, this movie as a whole, Chekhov's guns and foreshadowing galore. It really is tight.
Another
in that sense.
Really solid film by him. Like, I just can't imagine. It blows my mind how many just out of the parks he's had. Like,
yeah, and this is my first Jordan Peele film, so I very much enjoyed it. I'm just all right, I'm down.
Forever seen Inside Us and
Get Out. Yeah. I need to. It's on the list. We actually had the whole repertoire is under my unwatched list that we have together for this. So yeah, it really was really cool. so many different themes kind of come into play, like the ability for animal handling and the like, and the sound. Please stop tapping on your cell phone, please, mercy, I beg you, I have sound. The fact that eyes comes up as a motif, as a significance of how dangerous or not the situation is. It all comes down to the eyes. Even the shape of the saucer, when you get to see its underbelly, looks like it's a giant eye in the sky kind of thing. It's incredible in that sense. And then there's also this very larger message about our relationship to spectacles and trauma that I think is very... It balances on a very fine line. I think ultimately this is a movie that says we need to look into traumas and problems like it in order to address it correctly. However, we can't be so gung-ho about it that we lose the problem that is the trauma underlying the grander visual of what's happening, if that makes sense. Like, morbid curiosity should almost be used to prevent tragedy rather than to sate our hunger for curiosity.
It's about the effect on the victims. The morbid curiosity is very unimportant. And that's like a big thing right now with the whole Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix right now. There's been a lot of thing about that of people being like, I want the gruesome details. And it's like, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about like the victims and what they went through and how horrible it is.
Yeah. And similarly going to more like real world event stuff. There's the fact that the character is named OJ. It's made fun of in the movie, like OJ Simpson, haha, kind of thing. But the OJ Simpson trial is ultimately about somebody who lost their life, and it became this media sensation kind of thing.
Gawk at.
Or more recently, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, where there's legitimate abuse happening underlying this very toxic relationship between the two of them. And we kind of lost some of the victim aspects of it and became kind of engrossed in there's poop in the bed. I wonder what kind of crazy psychopath nonsense is going to happen next kind of thing. And it loses its humanity a little bit because of the spectacle. Because of the spectacle surrounding. And thankfully, I would say with the Heard Depp trial, people were able to associate more with some of the human elements, but it absolutely started to get into more of that specular territory.
People love to just romanticize drama.
Yeah.
And like trauma and throughout other people's lives.
And this movie is very much about kind of metering your response to it and almost kind of checking in with yourself that you, I would say, respond appropriately for the given topic, which I think is interesting. It's a very interesting, well-balanced, I don't even want to say message, just acknowledgement for some deeper introspection. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Very good.
Highly recommend it. Very curious to see watching the other ones, but that'll be for a later day down the line. This next week, we're going to continue our spooky stuff, the final of the spooky trend, and then we'll see what comes from November. But with all that said, Connor, where can we check you out at?
Live stream Connor on YouTube. Right here, generally.
And then if you want to see both of us, we're here Monday evenings, just about weekly. And if you want to see more of me in particular, on occasion, I do some streams on Gillen for the Win. It'll be linked, blah, blah, blah. We've been playing, my buddy and I have been playing Kingdom Hearts. We are on a little bit of a pause due to personal craziness we're both trying to sort out through family and whatnot. But we will be starting Birth by Sleep at some point. And then, sometimes Knights of the Old Republic, or like this next Tuesday, it is Jackbox 9 came out. So that's something where I'm hoping we'll be able to play that. Maybe we'll stream it, so on and so forth. It's a good time all around. Yeah. Anyway, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your week.
Yeah.
Woo! Fading away. Woo.